Okay, so now we know what the steps that we're going to do in our RPRT. Let's actually see them in action. As we said, step number one is look at the background, the overview. Usually that's given in exhibit number one. In this particular mock exam, it is simply given as background. And what you do when you look at that is you try and understand the context of the organization in the exam and also your role in that organization. So you highlight these words here. I'll show you which ones I've highlighted and why, and then we'll move to the next step. So recent, so that means you're not an expert on this organization yet. Okay, you are an advisor at Thursday. Now, this is important because the examining team have often said that sometimes candidates give answers as though they were employees rather than advisors, or the other way around. Okay, so this is important that you give your answers from the perspective of your role in the examination. Also, when you write your memos or your reports, from should always say strategic planning advisor. Okay, so that's why it's important. It's a charitable NGO in the developed country of Norland. So it's charitable, right? So it's you can't you know that it doesn't have the same goals and objectives and stakeholders as a for-profit organization, but it still does have goals and stakeholders and all of those things, right? It still has them. They're just different. So everything we've learned so far about strategy and managing stakeholders and setting objectives applies equally to NGOs or not-for-profit organizations. And it's in a developed country. That country is called Norland, which means that you have infrastructure available in terms of transportation, communication, and so on. Okay, and which you can call upon to offer your emergency service. Right, so what do? They provide emergency water to people in crisis, and they organize water convoys to deliver those emergency water bottles. Okay, now the thing is that the reason I've highlighted that is because it shows that they have resources on the ground in the countries that they operate in, which they can bring together quite quickly. So, in terms of their processes and systems, it sounds as though they're quite well organized, okay? And they have lots of contacts in their network. Each disaster is treated as a separate, unique project. Now, I highlight the word project because, well, you're reading this, you think, well, my project management knowledge might well be useful here. Okay, so immediately the mind gets thinking about what we know about project management. What else have I highlighted? Well, it's worked in 7 countries across 5 continents. So that's basically confirming what we suspected in terms of its global reach and organization. Okay, they're pretty impressive. The key to the success has been its ability to access a large team of volunteers. Now, we love volunteers because they're free. But the thing to remember about volunteers is they're also free to leave at any time they choose. Okay, they have no contractual obligation to stay with you. So they're a very important stakeholder in a not-for-profit organization, and we need to make sure we look after them because we need them. All right, we usually, as a not-for-profit, don't have sufficient funds to have only employees working for us. We can't afford to pay them. So anyways, but they have been successful because they have a large team of volunteers and they're free, so it helps with your bottom line, if you like. And they have been really good at generating money and resources through donations. Okay, so again, a well set up, well established network of donors. Okay, then what you're told is what you're expected to do. You're going to be a strategic planning advisor, nothing new there. And then it says something interesting in the next line. It says, this includes considering whether Thursday should expand its remit into helping deliver long-term changes in local infrastructure. Okay, so now you know that they're thinking of doing something different, setting new objectives. Okay, and therefore that will need a strategy as well. Okay, so that's interesting. And then it tells you what what you have to do. You've got your various tasks here on the left hand side in your exhibits. Okay, so there's nothing new. So we have done the first step, which is read the overview, or in this case background, and identified our context and our role. So let's move on to the second step in the RPRT.